So welcome to everyone. A pleasant good afternoon. Um, my name is Priscilla Liebert Calder. I am the event coordinator for the NJSBDC at Rutgers-Newark. And on behalf of Dr. Tendai Ndoro, the regional director, I would like to welcome you to today's webinar on analyzing market opportunities for revenue growth. For those of you who are not familiar with the SBDC, we are a resource center for the United States Small Business Administration, and we are the premier provider of business consulting and technical assistance programs, and we provide those to established businesses and entrepreneurs across New Jersey, but more particularly to those living in Essex County, New Jersey. We're one of 12 centers in the NJSBDC network, each center being responsible for one or multiple counties. And our center is hosted by the Rutgers Business School and funded through a partnership agreement between the SBA, Rutgers University, and the New Jersey Business Action Center. The mission of the SBDC is to help entrepreneurs and business owners start and grow successful and sustainable small businesses. And we do this by offering no cost, one-on-one confidential business consulting and technical assistance programs such as workshops and webinars such as the one that you're attending here today. To take advantage of these services, you need to just contact your local SBDC. You can either visit our headquarters at www.njsbdc, choose your local county, and reach out to the center, or you can also visit our website, which is on the bottom of the screen, www.rnsbdc.com. And in the header, top right corner of the website, there's a button there that says Request Counseling. All you need to do is click on that button, complete that form, and within 24 to 48 hours, a business consultant with the expertise in the area for which you requested assistance will contact you to set up an appointment and to do an assessment or one-on-one. And the way it works is once that consultant reaches out to you and consults with you, they will give you recommendations that you should follow through, and for you to then come back and get additional consultations. Okay, so for the benefit of those attending today's webinar, the audio has been muted. So if you have any questions, please feel free to use the chat box and post your questions there. We'll do our best to answer it either during or at the end of the presentation. A copy of the slides along with a recording of today's webinar will be sent out at the end of the presentation. Usually takes about 48 to 72 hours just for us to edit and get the video up so that you can review it. So it is now my pleasure to introduce to you our presenter for today, Andrew Frazier. Andrew is the CEO and founder of Small Business Like a Pro, an author with the said name as well of a book, Small Business Like a Pro. He's also the SBDC consultant here at the NJSBDC at Rutgers in the areas of finance and strategic planning. So without further ado, I will turn today's presentation over to Andrew. Unmute yourself, Andrew. We can't hear you.
Okay. Great. Thanks, Priscilla. Good afternoon, everyone. How you doing? Welcome to the seminar today, and look forward to chatting with you about some things that could be helpful in growing your business. So we're going to cover quite a few topics, and definitely as I'm going through, I don't mind questions. So as we're going, if you want to put questions in the chat or whatever, definitely don't hesitate to do that. And I'll be glad to answer them because, the key is to be able to help you to be able to get the most out of today's session as possible. So is that fair enough? Everybody ready to get started? So if you're ready to get started, if you can just put in the chat, ready. And once we see that everybody's ready, we're going to get moving with the seminar today. Okay, all right. So I see that Sienna's ready. Anybody else? I see we've got quite a few people. Who else is ready? Okay, Kimberly, great. You're ready to go. Okay. And let's see, who else do we have? Okay, so we got a couple other people. Everybody else here and ready to go? Okay. All right, so let's take a look at analyzing market opportunities for revenue growth. Again, my name's Andrew Frazier, and just to go over a little bit of what we're doing. So we're going to really focus on, what you're going to learn is a little bit about how to analyze new business trends, so that you can prepare your business for growth and explore new revenue opportunities. So we're going to talk a little bit about some trends in the marketplace. We want you to be able to, based on the trends, figure out your strengths and where the opportunities are based because of your strengths, and then assess your readiness for business growth. And, at the end of the day, this is just an hour and a half session. So we're going to do as much as we can, but this should really point you in the direction and be able to figure out some areas where you want to focus on in terms of revenue opportunities, and also understands more about some of the trends that are impacting your industry and your business. So let's get started. So as Priscilla mentioned, this is through the SBDC at Rutgers-Newark, and they provide great programs for entrepreneurs and business owners, not only these webinars, but a lot of training and other things at really low cost or free. One of the major programs they have is their business plan course, where you can develop your business plan over 4 sessions. So, that's a key one as well. So let's take a look. So again, my name is Andrew Frazier, got a very diverse background, and really use that to work with entrepreneurs and business owners, helping them to grow their revenues, increase their profits, and obtain financing by focusing on their strategy and financial management, and just bringing a wide variety of expertise and experience to the table for them. So today, there's a lot of things going on, and a lot of change, a lot of challenges in the current environment. There's so many things happening that it's hard to keep up. But it's important as a business owner for you to do everything you can to understand the trends, because to be successful in this environment, number one, you're going to have to be proactive. You can't sit around and wait for things to happen. You have to be creative also. And so you need to look for opportunities, be creative in providing solutions, and then be flexible in terms of how you implement them. So, what's happening now? We've got a health crisis. Everybody knows about coronavirus. We're in the middle of our second wave. Not sure how it's going to affect us going forward. Looks like there's a vaccine on the horizon, but really there's still going to be a lot of impacts for business, and there's a lot of trends that have changed as a result. And some of these trends will reverse themselves, but many will not. So business for most business owners will never be the same again, either positive or negative, if you continue with your current business model. We've also got the financial crisis. So to compound the health crisis, we got the financial crisis, which we are just starting to feel. But that's going to take center stage before too long. Individuals, a lot of people aren't working the way they used to. So their disposable income is going to be a lot lower. So that's going to affect many businesses as well, potentially getting access to capital or, being able to get new customers. There's only going to be so much demand available. So thinking about how is that going to impact your business and how can you adjust to the trends that are happening around that. And then a human rights crisis. These last years have really brought out quite a few types of human rights challenges and issues, and also initiatives. So along the lines of these human rights crisis, there's trends. It's impacting the business environment, the professional environment, the personal environment in different ways. So it's key to be able to figure out and understand how that could impact your business. So those are some of the things that I want to talk about just as a backdrop to what we're going to go into today as far as ways to grow your business. And so now that we've talked about that, we're going to talk about a few questions. But before we get started, anybody have any questions? Like I said, feel free to put them in the chat, and I'd be glad to answer them and go through them as we go. So let's see what we got. So the first question, what's going on? What do we need to do? What are we doing today? So today we're going to talk a little bit about how to survive the crisis, a little bit about how to recognize new trends and exploring opportunities, and then preparing your business for that. And then the future next steps beyond this is based on what you learned today, how do you turn that into your business strategy? How do you create a business plan around it and then implementing it successfully? So this is just the first in several steps in being able to successfully grow your business in this environment. So why are we doing this? Like I said, challenges create opportunity. Whenever there's challenges, there's opportunities. So what are these challenges and what are these opportunities and how do you take advantage of them? So the people who generally successfully do that are the people who are proactive, people who are creative, and people who are flexible. I've worked with many business owners and that rings true. I've got one client who worked with young people and had a center and was able to pivot from having a in-person childcare teaching situation to a virtual online teaching and didn't lose any students and didn't lose any revenue. So how did they do that? The first weekend before COVID, they spent the whole weekend figuring out how they would change their business model. And what they were able to do is they were able to start that next Monday implementing their program. And since the parents were working from home and they needed help with childcare, the virtual program worked really well. But they did it quickly. They were flexible and they were creative about how they did it. So that allowed them to pivot and move forward with their business in a different way without the crisis impacting them too much negatively on the financial side. You've also got restaurants. They're hit really bad, but certain restaurants who have pivoted into more takeout and delivery are actually doing better. One restaurant chain that I know of, he had one Chinese restaurant. He actually bought 3 more and it's doing great. So it all depends on how you respond to the challenge and how quickly and if you're bringing in the right solution based on the trends. Okay, so we're going to start by talking a little bit about some of the new trends and how to recognize some of the trends. But before we get to that, just want to welcome the additional people who joined in, as well as just helps to have participation and builds the energy. If you can just say, if you're ready to go check out the trends, just type the word trends in the chat, and that'll be great to let me know that you're ready to check out the trends and move forward. And appreciate you doing that and incorporating. So thanks, Sienna. Thanks, Frida. Appreciate it. And Kimberly, yes. So definitely, we're going to take a look at some of the trends, and what are some of the key trends that we want to recognize. The first thing is there's a lot of things impacting you, and nobody really knows where the future is going. So, how do you prepare for it? And the best thing you can do is look at trends that are happening, thinking about these trends and thinking about, is this trend a temporary trend? Is it a future trend? How impactful is it? Is it going to affect my company? Is it not? Is it going to affect my customers? So really thinking about each of these trends and how is it impacting. So there's so many trends out there. So, how do I pick the right ones? What are some of the trends? So I'm going to go through some of them. And at the end of the day, it's easier to maintain a customer than it is to get a new one. So first, you want to pay close attention to your customers, understand them, continue to stay in contact, build your relationship with them. And they may have changing needs, wants, or desires. And figuring out what they are and how you may be able to satisfy them is key. So maybe they have a new challenge or new problem. How can you help them solve that? How is the demand for the business that you already do with them going to change? Do you expect them to do more business along those lines or less? And, do they still need your solution? Some solutions are no longer needed or not needed as much. So figuring out that, and the sooner you can figure out that, the better. So you know how it's going to impact your business and you have an idea of how to address it. These trends are really inspiring change, and they're going to continue to change. And there's really 4 key areas of where we're seeing trends. Definitely on the home front, there's a lot of trends. Work front, when you're working, there's a lot of trends there as well. Of course, health and safety, with the crisis, things are changing as far as health and safety. Some trends are accelerated and some trends are new. And so we're going to talk a little bit about that. And then information and analysis. That's already something that's been increasing, but it's just accelerated because of this. So let's take a look at what's going on the home front. So some of the things on the home front is people are working from home more. So a lot of people are spending more time. So they're doing things to make home more comfortable. So if there's a way that you can offer or provide something that helps them to make their additional time at home better. A few examples of things: a lot of computer sales companies are booming right now because a lot more people are upgrading or buying computers for educational or work purposes. So, that's key. I have a webcam here. There's a lot of, companies that, for a while you couldn't even get a webcam because they were just going and being sold so fast. One of my clients does health and fitness, and she focuses on a lot of training with kettlebells. And actually, kettlebells were sold out. You couldn't even order kettlebells. So, there's things that are in demand, and so just like certain things there's less demand for, there's certain things that there's a lot more demand for. And the question is, are you able to provide them? Another piece is, I have a friend who has a business that's focused on hair products and hair accessories. And, her business was affected, but she pivoted early because to make the hair accessories, she had fabric and she had people who sewed the fabric. So they were actually able to take their expertise and their strengths and transition that into making masks. So being creative about what you have, what you're working with, is very helpful in being able to um, grow your revenues in this environment. So very important. On the work front, you know, definitely the work situation is a lot different. There's social distancing, so there's more space between people. A lot of places have plastic barriers. Actually, there was a company that made plastic sheets, plexiglass sheets, that was almost going out of business before the crisis, and now they're basically at capacity, working multiple shifts. So, um, so that's another area. What are areas where there's an additional need that you might be able to satisfy? Uh, so, cleaning services on the work front. So figuring out where there's a need. And then when we look at health and safety, there's a lot more going on in terms of telehealth. There's a lot of other types of services. And one of the biggest trends is, a lot more health in terms of healthy eating, healthy living, um, in terms of exercise and other things. So being able to get in front of those trends and figure out which ones that you may be able to use to grow your business. And then finally, information analysis technology is huge and continuing to get even bigger. So what's going on the technology front? Everybody knows about the internet and social media, but even beyond that, you've got 5G coming, which is going to change a lot of things and bring, stability to being able to use a lot of internet technology on an industrial level, where, you need to have consistent connectivity. Um, it's also bringing you um, different, security uh, issues, security opportunities, and for business owners, for small business owners, the technology is allowing you to be so much more efficient and taking advantage of that. I've been doing that this year, just, from sketching calendar, being able to schedule different things, being able to, also use platforms to deliver services and products rather than having to do everything by hand. And because of technology, I could work with virtual assistants who are in different locations and collaborate with other business experts. So thinking about, what's going on the home front, how has it changed for you and for other people? What can you do to benefit? One of the biggest areas is entertainment. There is such a need for content across the board. So if you're able to create good content, there could be opportunities for that. I don't know about you, but feels like I've seen everything on cable and everything on Netflix. So, if that's the case, if there's something new coming out that, that type of entertainment is valuable for people. So, everybody probably has Netflix. would you agree that you've seen mostly everything? So put Netflix, if you've seen mostly everything that you'd want to see on Netflix or and cable. If not, then then you're lucky, and you got other things to keep you entertained as we go. So, but these are some of the trends that are inspiring a lot of change, and you should look at your business. What is impacting your business and how is it working? So first thing is trends. Then we want to explore some of the revenue opportunities, but to be able to do that, you have to understand the trends first. And then what you have to do is match up the trends to your strengths, so that you can use your strengths to figure out which trends you can provide the best solution for. So finding the trends is first. Second, you look at your personal strengths. What personal strengths do you have, and how can they translate into providing solutions for people's challenges, wants, needs, and desires? Um, and not only just your personal strengths, your business strengths. What are some of the capabilities that your business has? Like I mentioned, a lot of restaurants having the capability to deliver food. Like the accessory place, they had the capability, that had people who could sew, that had the material. So it was easier to move into that trend. So what are the strengths of your business, and how can you use those? And what are some of your strengths? Because you can bring some of that into your business, if that makes sense, for for growing your business. And where the trends match up with your strengths, that's where the opportunity is. So looking at, what is the opportunity for me? So that's what we're going to talk about now. So when you're thinking about the trends, one of the first things you want to do is look at where you are. Is there more demand from your customers for what you offer, less, or is it about the same? Same thing with competition. Is your competition greater? Is it less, or about the same? How are your costs changing as a result of the crisis? Are you able to get better pricing, or is it more expensive to do the same thing? And how would you say you are currently? Are you better off? Is your business in a better situation, or is it in a worse situation? And do you see things improving going forward based on taking the same path, or getting worse? And answering these questions will give you an idea of what you should be looking at. So if you're actually doing better now, you probably want to do more of what you've been doing. But if you're doing worse now, then you need to look at, well, how do look for other ways to do better. So start with a table like this and figure out where you are. So you're out there in the audience. Think about these trends. Would you say your business is better off currently than you were before the crisis? Or would you say your business is worse off, or about the same? So if you're better, type better in the chat. Type worse, or if it's worse, type worse in the chat. And if you're about the same, just type same in the chat. So give us an indication of how your business is doing relative to how it was starting. So again, if you're doing better than before the crisis, just type better in the chat. If you're doing worse, type worse, and then okay, or same if you're doing about the same. So, okay, Kimberly, so you're doing about the same, which is great, because a lot of people aren't. Anyone else out there, you want to share how you're doing relative to how you're doing before? And this table is a good table to look at, and maybe even create, so that you can really think about the answers to each of these, because that'll be telling for what you want to do and how you want to move forward. Anybody else want to share how they're doing versus before the crisis? Thanks, Kimberly, for sharing. And so this could be a good tool for you to get started. So now next, you know, when you're assessing yourself in these areas, you know, each one of these, there's trends affecting them. And then looking at your business in terms of all these things. So now looking at your strengths, how do you know your strengths? And what is it really about your strengths? So whenever I'm working with business owners, one of the things I ask them is, what do you do best and most profitably? Because that's where you should focus your energies. And same for now, what do you do best? Because you know you want to be able to provide the best solution for clients. And what do you do most profitably? Because you want to know what you're making money doing. A lot of times, not everything you do in your business makes you money. You need to know where you're making your money and how and why, and focus on areas that you're that you're doing best in and able to do best in. So so those are definitely things to think about. And when you're thinking about your personal strengths, uh, sometimes it's hard to assess yourself, so you should talk to others, get a feel for what they see in you, because they may see you in a different way than you see yourself. Um, Also, if you haven't done any type of personality assessment like Myers-Briggs, um, DISC assessments, or whatever, they could be very helpful in telling you um, things about yourself that you may not realize. And it's important to take into account what your strengths are, where you can have an advantage, because that's really where you want to go towards. So you got your personal strengths, but then you also have your video strengths. And Myers-Briggs, we'll take a look at a video for that shortly. Um, but really it's about categorizing your personality into 4 different letters. So whether you're introvert or extrovert, you're a sensor, intuitive, thinker or feeler, judger or perceiver. And as a result, that breaks down into 16 different personality types, and figuring out which one you are and what are the characteristics of the one that you are. So, that's important and valuable thing to look at. And then, you know, how does that play out? So let me take a look. If you can, in the chat, let me know if you've ever taken the MBTI or Myers-Briggs. Just type that in, MBTI, in the chat, to give an idea what that is, and if you've done that. And if you've done the DISC, type DISC in the chat. And if you haven't done any of them, type none in the chat. So yeah, none. Okay, none. Okay. So we're just introducing these to you. Okay, cool. So then what we'll do is, I'll show a short video to give you a little bit of a feel for what it's all about. And then we can move forward and take a little bit of a look at business strengths. So, one of the first things that you can look at is you've got the 16 personality types and what they correspond to. So let's take a look where we are. Okay, none. Okay, Janet, Ayanna, you've done the DISC. Great. Was the DISC helpful, Ayanna? You want to? Okay, Kimberly. Okay, great. Okay, so most of you haven't done anything in terms of that, so this is good. I'll take a little bit more time to, explain what it's really about, and let's see, and then we'll have some fun with it. So, when you think about the different personalities. So there's
Writing's not that
16 different personalities,
easy, but
and we'll have a
Grammarly
short
can help.
video.
This sentence is grammatically correct.
Okay. So this guy on YouTube is really good guy to follow and see. Okay, good. The disc was helpful. And if you look at the MBTI, I think you'll probably find that helpful as well. So let's take a look. So we've got a little bit about the different personalities and how they can play out.
How would I describe myself? Well, that depends on what you've already heard. Sex, male. Height, 5'11". Hair, brown. Eyes, green. Yes, I'm reading off my driver's license. It has all of my descriptive information, now doesn't it? The word I would use to describe myself is determined. I am determined to get this job. Sorry, muscle memory kicked in and I went right into job interview mode. You know what? No one has really ever cared enough to ask me who I think I really am. So thank you. I also have no idea how to answer that question, so I'm gonna have to ask you to come back to me. But thank you. I'm looking through a list of adjectives online, but none of them fully capture who I am. I mean, some come close. Maybe jocular, loquacious, fecund, crapulous. How am I supposed to answer a question like that with words, man? I transcend all those things. I'm a different person from when I woke up this morning. I'm a different person from when I started this sentence. I believe in actualizing all of the things that I want to be with mantras. I am strong. I am confident. I am enough. Here, say it with me. You can be all of these things too, buddy. I prefer to let my woodworking do the talking. Any other form of self-expression feels showy and unearned. Well, I don't even know how I would describe myself. Maybe like talented, brilliant, incredible, amazing, show-stopping, spectacular, never the same, totally unique, never been done before, contumacious, effulgent, garrulous. I really don't love these questions. It's like you're trying to psychoanalyze me or something. What's next? A Rorschach test? Oh, let me guess. Involuntary hypnosis? What's your game, pal? I don't know. Cool, awesome guy. There's 3. Is that enough? Big league. There's 4. I'm not really sure how to put it into words, but I really relate to this meme right here. That's right. The one with the cat with the lasers coming out of his eyes. I think of myself as being a nice, kind person, but you know what? It's really not for me to say. Who cares what I think? How would you describe me? Puckish, am I right? But not particularly radamanthine. Perhaps a little spasmodic. I am a riddle, wrapped in a mystery, inside an enigma. Okay, actually I'm pretty boring, but the enigma thing sounded better. Some people say I'm bossy. I reject that opinion. The truth is there are a lot of stupid out there who need someone like me to step in and tell them what to do. It's not bossy. It's compassionate, heuristic, intransigent, munificent. It's really difficult to boil down because it's like there's home me, work me, family me, which is different depending on what side of the family I'm with. It's almost like there's no real me. If you want to own some of these cool designs to wear.
Okay. All right. So hopefully you found that a little interesting and fun, but you know, when you're thinking about your personality, people are so different. You know, usually you're used to yourself and you see the world the way you are, but people see the world in many different ways. Hopefully you probably saw some, some examples of some people that you may know, or even some examples that sort of fit yourself. But the more you learn about yourself and being able to understand and communicate and work effectively with others, the better. And that's really about, understand your personal style. And, I encourage you to learn more about the Myers-Briggs, take a look at it. If you're interested, you can also actually take a free test. If you go to, I guess, Truity, TRUIT.com, this will allow you to take a free assessment to find out which category of personality type you are. So, and they go from, healer, mastermind, counselor, architect, to visionary, teacher, protector, inspector. So each one has a has a certain characteristics, have certain ways they communicate better, certain types of people that they gravitate towards, and certain things that drive them crazy and certain things that they like. So understanding that about yourself and other people allows you to more effectively interact. So Myers-Briggs is probably the most established, and to check it out. So the website is Truity, TRUITY.com. And that's where you can take the free assessment. I just put it in the chat as well. And, try it out, see how you like it. So that's looking at your personal strengths. So now let's take a look and shift and look a little bit more about our business strengths. So let's see. So you've got your personality, took a look at the video and different characteristics. You've got the DISC, which is another type of assessment looking at, where you focus your, are you focused on influencing people, conscientious, dominant, steadfast, and sort of how those play out in the way you operate. So now looking at your business strengths, what are your business strengths and weaknesses? The first thing you can look at is a SWOT analysis. Everybody's probably heard of the SWOT analysis, looking at your strengths, weaknesses, opportunities, and threats. But in this situation, I would really focus on your strengths. What do you do well? And opportunities. Where are there opportunities for you? And using that to match those up with the current trends to figure out how you can look to grow your revenues and increase your profits. So you got the strengths, weaknesses, opportunities, and threats analysis. You can actually go online, search it, find different ways to do it. There's a lot of information about that, but thinking about your strengths, but both business and personal. And looking at what is a SWOT analysis and how does it work. So we've got that. So if you can put into chat if you've ever if you've ever done a SWOT analysis. So if you've done a SWOT analysis before, just put it into chat. Yes. Oh, sorry. Let me go back. Okay, I guess my screen's not moving. So let me go back and thought I set it up right. So okay, so you got the Myers-Briggs, the different so you've got the Myers-Briggs, the different personality types. So going from the healer, counselor, ENTJ, inspector. So these are all the personality types and a little bit about them. Each one, if you want to go further, you can click on that personality type and it actually gives you a lot more detail and even a short video about the personality type and what to expect and how to recognize them. What are the pluses and minuses? What are your values? How others see you? Other famous people who have the same or similar, and additional facts about you, your relationships, and your careers and your strengths. So you could go to the strengths sections and say, okay, what are my strengths as a certain personality? So this one, you're supportive, positive, showy, bold, and practical. So how do those fit? And what are your weaknesses? Avoiding conflict, sensitive, easily bored, poor long-term focus. So understanding, from a work standpoint and a career standpoint, where your strengths are, where your weaknesses are, so you can use those to be more effective in what you do and find the right opportunities and the right fit for your strengths and capabilities. So let's take a look at that. Okay. So again, that's Truity, TRUITY.com. And take a look at those. Okay. And what else do we want to do? Okay. And then we can take just a real quick look at a SWOT analysis and what it means. So I'll throw video on here. Okay. Share.
Welcome back. We know strategy analysis has two main branches: analysis of a firm's external environment and analysis of a firm's internal environment. In our previous lessons, we learned how to analyze the internal and external environment of a firm. SWOT is a famous framework that allows us to combine the two types of analysis. SWOT is sometimes referred to as an internal-external analysis. The acronym SWOT stands for strengths, weaknesses, opportunities, and threats. The first two, strengths and weaknesses, are related to a firm's internal environment, while the last two, opportunities and threats, consider its external environment. We can use a SWOT analysis when analyzing industries, companies, products, new initiatives, policies, or even people. It is a simple and useful framework that allows us to group and visualize strengths and weaknesses, and to identify potential threats and opportunities that exist in the external environment. In addition, the SWOT framework could be useful when you want to understand the areas in which your firm performs well, and the ones that need improvement. The 4 elements of SWOT analysis are usually placed in a table which looks something like this. Internal strengths and external opportunities are vertically paired as helpful elements, while internal weaknesses and external threats are paired as harmful elements. Right, so if we perform a company analysis under strengths, we would expect to see its core competences, the areas where the business excels and has a competitive advantage over competitors. An example of a firm's strength could be its strong brand recognition. Weaknesses are areas that need improvement. Such vulnerabilities place a company at a disadvantage when competing against other firms. Usually, the disadvantage results from other companies having a competitive advantage. An example of a weakness is higher cost structure. Opportunities can be seen as favorable factors existing in a company's external environment, in the industry where it operates, and have the potential to improve its current results and competitive positioning. Taking advantage of opportunities depends on how skilled a company's top management team is. To take advantage of an opportunity, the management must be able to recognize opportunities when they arise, and then act accordingly when the time is right. An example of an opportunity is the advent of a new technology the company can exploit to expand its product offering. The last of the 4 elements of SWOT analysis is threats. Threats arise in a company's external environment and might harm its current business. But if you can identify a threat, you can lessen its impact by taking precautions. An example of a threat is the entry of a strong competitor with access to advanced technology. This is a great overview of the SWOT framework. In our next lesson, we'll conclude the strategy module of the course.
Okay, so hopefully that just gave you a little bit of info about the SWOT analysis if you haven't done one previously, but really focusing on the strengths and opportunities part are key in that type of analysis. So what are we saying? So we're saying that basically looking at your key trends, looking at your personal strengths and looking at your business strengths, and where those intersect is where the revenue opportunities are for you. So that you want to make sure that you're in an area that's growing and there's becoming more and more opportunities. So that's where you look at the trends. You want to make sure that, personally and business wise, you're able to deliver a product or service that is competitive and value added for the clients. So where those overlap, that's really where the revenue opportunities are primarily for you and your business. Okay. So now you've looked at the trends, you've looked at your strengths, and you know that you have an idea of where the opportunities are for you. Now, how do you take advantage of them? The first thing you need to do, and from the beginning, is you need to prepare yourself to grow. If your business isn't prepared to grow, even if you have the greatest opportunity in the world, you're not going to be in a position to take advantage of it. So, we're going to talk about growing. So if you want to grow, if you want your business to grow, just type grow in the chat so we can see, just make sure we're all on the same page. So let me know if you want, and others know if you want to grow. So if you're serious about wanting to grow your business, that's what we're going to talk about next, is how to do that. Okay, Anna, Kimberly, Frida, great. So we're going to talk about growing your business. So let's take a look and see what that's all about. So there's really 4 building blocks to being able to grow your business. Everything starts with planning. If you fail to plan, you plan to fail. So the first step is looking at from a planning perspective. Second piece is marketing. So marketing is your most important job as a business owner. So figuring out how to market effectively is critical. So first, preparing yourself from a planning standpoint, then a marketing standpoint. But from there, you need capacity. If you don't have the capacity to deliver the products or services, it doesn't matter how many you sell. If you can't deliver on them, then you can't grow. So you have to put in place the capacity that you need to be able to grow, or at least be ready to put it in place as the time arises. And then tracking. If you don't measure what's going on, it's hard to make improvement, and it's hard to understand so that you can manage it effectively and make good decisions, because you'll only be making decisions based on limited information, and very limited information, if you're not measuring and tracking what's happened recently so that you can incorporate that into your decision-making progress. So we've got the 4 building blocks for growth: planning, marketing, capacity, and tracking. So let's take a look at each of these individually. First, we've got planning, putting together your business plan. Now, I'm not saying write a 1,000,000-page business plan. You don't even have to write it out. I do my business plan in PowerPoint with bullets, but you want to have an understanding of what your plan is, or how you plan to move forward, not just for yourself, but also for others. So you can communicate it effectively so that they can be on the same team and help you, whether the others are other people within your organization, other people who know you and like you and could support you, customers who have a better understanding of where you're going, suppliers. So putting together a plan is for you to be able to know what you're doing, but it's more than just for you. It's for communicating what you're doing so you can enlist the support of others in an easy and more effective way. So first thing is business planning. So how many of you have developed a business plan? So if you have a plan, type plan. And if you have no plan, type no plan. And if you're not sure, just type 3 question marks. So, a lot of times, when you're running a business, it can be challenging. So sometimes it's hard to develop a plan, but it's important, even if it's a short plan, just so you know where you're going and you've thought it out. Because until you write things down, you really don't have an opportunity to really think it through. So, Kimberly, I see you have a plan, which is outstanding, because a lot of business owners don't, and it's important to do that. Anybody else have a plan? Okay. Question mark. Okay, I understand that, because sometimes you have a little bit of a plan, or maybe a plan. So that's better than no plan, but even needing a plan. So as you're starting out, but developing some sort of business plan for how you want to run your business and how it's going to go. So if you don't have one, you may want to consider taking the business plan course that SBDC offers, where it can help you move on your way towards developing your business plan. So now, one thing I'd say is, yes, doing a business plan might be difficult, but it's not something that you can delegate to someone else. So you don't want to buy a business plan, because then it's not your plan. So you can have people work on it for you and with you, but it has to be your plan. So it has to be your vision of what needs to be done and how to move forward. So definitely putting something together is key. Getting help is fine, but at the end of the day, you have to be involved and you have to own it, because otherwise it's just some pieces of paper that cost you a lot of money that you're never going to follow. So putting that business plan together is key. The second piece is marketing. How effective is your marketing? I mentioned that marketing is your most important job as a business owner. How good are you at marketing? What have you done to learn how to market better? A lot of people are out there marketing and selling without experience and without even trying to learn about it. So how well do you think they're doing? Probably not very well. One of the most important investments that you can make in yourself for growing your business is investing in learning more about sales and learning more about marketing, because those are the keys to growing your business. Because if you can't get more sales, then it doesn't matter how well you do everything else, your business isn't going to make it. So marketing, learning how to do that, looking at digital marketing, but digital marketing is not the only type of marketing there is. So if you only focus in that space, then you're missing out on some things that you should be doing. So before you do too much, you really want to put together a strategy rather than start doing things and hope that it comes together and works. You want to have an overall strategy of what you're going to do. And just like business planning, you have to be involved in your marketing strategy intimately, and figure out what your strategy is, and then you can get people to help you implement it. But from a high level, doing a strategy to make sure it's aligned is key. So we've got planning, we've got marketing, then we've got capacity building, increasing the capacity and being able to deliver more products and services is key. So what does it take to deliver more? What capacity are you at now? Are you using 50% of your capacity, 75, 100? That'll tell you how far you can go, how much more business you can do without having to make changes, because you already have that capacity. And a couple of good ways to think about it. If your business grew 15%, what would you need to do to accommodate that growth? Can you do it based on what you have now, or what else would you need? Will you need more employees? Will you need more capital? How would you deliver upon that? So thinking about that in advance, having that in your plan, so that when you do, improve your marketing and need to deliver more products and services, you already know how you do it, how you plan to do it. So figuring out your capacity, building your capacity is key. And then tracking, looking at your performance, because you're doing some new things and you want to have as current and accurate data as possible. So you want to develop measures, and usually through your business plan, of what you plan to do, how you plan to do it, and what you expect to have happen as a result. And then you want to be able to track that to see if what you had wanted to happen actually happens, and to make sure that you've implemented it the way that you had planned, so that you can, if you need to make some adjustments, you can find out as soon as possible ways to make adjustments, to make improvements, to make changes, whatever you need. But tracking is the final piece. So those 4 pieces are key. So just for review, the key is, first you start at looking at trends. What are the major trends out there? How are they impacting you, your business, your customers, other businesses? We talked about 4 key trends, and those were trends at home, trends at work, trends in terms of healthcare, and trends in terms of data and technology. And each of those areas, there's many different trends. And how are they affecting you? How are they going to affect you? Are these temporary trends? Are these long-term trends? And combining that, when you think about what are your strengths personally, what are your strengths that you bring to the table? Organizationally, what are the strengths that you bring to the table? And how do you use that as a way to, understand what's going on and where you might go? The next piece is, looking, you've got your recognizing trends. You're taking a look at, where the opportunities are by looking at your strengths and weaknesses, and focusing on personal and professional. And then thinking about, how do you grow your business? What capacity do you need? What are things that you need to be able to grow your business and have the capacity that you need to grow? So those are the key things that we're talking about today and focusing on. Any questions? Is there any questions about what we talked about? Any questions about your business, how you think that may relate to your business? If you're thinking about some trends or different things, how, do you think that would change? So definitely feel free to put questions in the chat. One of the key questions I get a lot is, okay, so we talked about being able to plan. How do I put together a business plan? Where do I look? What's the format for doing that? And that's important. A lot of people haven't done business plans, or have done them, but there's still things that you want to understand. So first thing is getting the format. And the first thing is, you talk about your business, but the most important part of your business plan is your marketing plan, and how you put that together, doing some research, understanding your market, understanding who you're targeting, understanding your value proposition, many things that you need to do. So, from a marketing standpoint, one of the most important things, the 2 most important things are, number 1, understanding your value proposition. And the way I look at it is 3 bullet points on why someone should hire you. Why should they hire you? And then the other one is your target market, because they're the people who value the most what you have to offer. So if you can understand your target market, who you need to talk to, and then you have your value proposition of the value that you bring to the table, if your solution is the solution to their problem, it's a lot easier to sell. A lot of times you don't even have to sell. So they say, if you market well, then it makes sales a lot easier. If you market really well, you don't even have to sell. So learning about how to market better and spending time putting together your marketing plan, putting together your marketing strategy, that's going to have the biggest bang for your business. Anybody else have any questions on what we talked about? Let's see. Okay. Elaborate on trends and explaining a little bit more. So let's take a look. So if we're talking about trends, elaborating, let's see. One of the things that we can look at, actually, we can do a couple examples, but actually, if you have a business, just type the type of business you have as well, because then we could talk a little bit about the trends that affect your business, because that's even more helpful. So do that, and while you're doing that, I'm going to answer another question about I've got says you're thinking about purchasing an existing business. What are your opinions on purchasing a business, and what should you look for? Great question, because I had actually looked at purchasing several businesses, and it's harder than it seems for a number of reasons, but it's important to look at as many businesses as possible. And you always want to look at the financials, looking at the numbers, making sure that the business is profitable, understanding the expenses, and you got to look at the numbers. One, you'll get the financials from the owner, but you have to get the tax returns, because the tax returns aren't going to lie. At least they're not going to lie and say that they made more money than they made. It might say they made less money than they made, but it's very rarely going to say that the business made more money than they're telling you it made. Because the tax returns are what any bank and other organizations going to go by if they're going to finance you. So, number one, you want to get the tax return. Number two, you don't want to overpay. So one of the things I look at is never pay for growth. If they say, oh, well, you can grow the business by this much. Well, if they haven't demonstrated they can grow it by that much, then you shouldn't pay them for that growth. So, because really, if you grow it by that much, then you should be the one making the money because of the growth, not because of them. And I've seen so many times that the business growth that people plan is not achieved. So you never want to pay for growth in advance. So think about that. Think about the team in the business. Okay, so what is the team? Do you have the right team? Is this business a business that you're going to have to step in and run, or is it a business that's sustainable without the owner? Many businesses are really sole proprietorships, where if the owner's not there, there really isn't that much business left. Unless you really want to be working in the business, that's not the type of business that you want to buy. And if that's the case, then the business should be worth a whole lot less, and you should pay a whole lot less for it. So those are some things about purchasing an existing business. And then everything I talked to here today, what are the trends surrounding that type of business? Are they positive? Are they negative? What are your strengths? Do you as an owner, what are your strengths, and does the business fit with your strengths? What's the capacity of the business? Does the business have the ability to grow? And so on and so forth. So those are some things about buying a business. Let me know, Prit, if that answers your questions, or if you have additional questions, just type them in the chat. That's cool. Okay. Paola says women's clothes and lingerie. So definitely clothes are key. In many ways, people probably aren't buying as many clothes, but that doesn't mean they're not buying clothes. And it might need to be different types of clothes, because people are probably more casual now. A lot of exercise type clothing is probably selling a lot more as well. In terms of people not going out as much, but lingerie, that's usually not something people go out in anyways. So there may be some ways that, lingerie can actually be a positive trend as well. But, the key is, understanding your target market and who would value it the most. So, that's great. Yeah, women's clothes. And then Ayanna, you're doing Mary Kay. So network marketing, skincare. So trends at home, people are at home a lot more. So in terms of being home, one thing you would think that you might not wear as much makeup, but now that you've got Zoom and a lot of video conferencing, that trend would actually bode more for a lot of people wearing more makeup. And looking at, but it might be different people, more professionals that are working online, needing, wanting to have makeup so that they look their best as part of what they're doing. So understanding the trend of who, not just what's happening, but who's it happening to, and what are their needs and their changing needs and desires. When you're thinking about work-wise, less people are going to work. So you've got network marketing. There's a lot more social distancing. There's not groups. So a lot of times with network marketing, sometimes there's group meetings and group introduction sessions. So you're not going to meet with people as much face-to-face. But that doesn't mean you can't connect with them virtually in an effective way. But you have to set it up so that you're able to get in front of more and more and new people. Another good thing about the trends is people are home. A lot of times people have more time or more open to talking to people that they don't know. So this is a good time to reach out to people, connect, build new relationships, strengthen current relationships in a virtual environment. So, so those are some of the things that you can think about and look at in terms of cosmetics, in terms of clothing. So that's cool. Let's see. Okay. Can I talk about financing opportunities for young entrepreneurs? Okay, so financing is always a challenge for new and existing business owners, and even a little bit more difficult these days. So, one thing I do is for the SBDC, we actually do an access to capital course training, which I think is coming up fairly soon, and that you may want to check out, because we'll go into a lot more depth there. But one of the key, a couple of the key things about it is having a plan. First part is having a plan to explain your business, how it works, and how you're going to make money. The access to capital training is going to be on Saturday, December 5th from 10 a.m. to 2 p.m. Again, Saturday, December 5th, 10 a.m. to 2 p.m. You can register through the SBDC here, same place where you registered for this session. So then you got access to capital there. And, so putting together your business plan, understanding your business. Usually when you're starting up, banks are very difficult to do financing. So, you really have to, number one, you have to invest in your own business. If you don't put any money in your business, why should anyone else? So that's the first thing. You gotta put some money into your own business. Second piece is friends and family. Working with people around you who know you, who like you, who want to support you. They may be willing to put up some money towards your business as well. And the key thing there is to get written documentation and written agreement on how much, how it's supposed to be paid back, what the expectations are, what you're going to do if it doesn't work out, so that everybody's on the same page and you don't want to hurt relationships that you have with friends and family. You can use personal credit. Some people have their own line of credit, equity line, credit cards. A lot of times those are ways that you can use to finance your business as well. Outside of those, there's crowdfunding, but that could be a lot of work as well and may not get you that much money. You can also look at doing an SBA loan. Those are very possible. And then there's micro lenders who work with smaller businesses and do lending, primarily 10,000 and below. They do easily, and many of them can do up to $50,000 loans. So those are some of the initial ways that you may want to look at financing your business. So hopefully that's helpful for you. But definitely on December 5th, feel free to join the class. Any other questions? Anything else you want me to chat about as well? So, okay. So we've covered a lot. Definitely appreciate you joining in and participating in this seminar. We actually have the next seminar is going to be at 3 o'clock, and I'll be doing that as well. So this one was talking about really opportunities to grow your revenues. This next one is going to be focused on how to improve your profitability. So you're welcome to join at 3 o'clock, and definitely appreciate you joining. Thanks for your comment, Diana. And as Priscilla mentioned, SBDC has some great programs. Also, they have business counseling. So you can talk to a business counselor like me one-on-one about your business. So all that's done through Priscilla and SBDC, but that's available for you. Take advantage of it because they're funded by the SBA, and that's what they're there for, to help you as a business owner be more successful. So thank you very much. Take care. Wish you much success. And always remember, the more you know, the faster you grow. Thank you.